Hello everybody, it is finally Alagatua, and I am back today with a really exciting game between Rip and LaskaLarnar. This was the Smacky Cup 2 Grand Finals, and I know it's been a while since I've been able to put together some time to get a video out, but my voice is finally recovered. I was sick for a while and had no voice to talk to you with, so we're back now, and we're gonna hopefully be getting things more regular than they have been over the past couple weeks. But I hope you had a good holiday, and let's take a look at this map and this matchup a little bit. So I know I'm not showing the match on screen yet, but this match was a Jake versus Jake match. And we are on Chosen Reservoir, which is probably up there with Stalingrad as one of the classic fog maps, and it's certainly a great map. There's no arguing with that. The only downside is with maps that are kind of this iconic, they are to some degree stale, I guess, or at least some people have played enough on those maps that maybe they feel like they've been figured out or something like that. So regardless, you got to enjoy the classics, and it's a great map for the finals of a tournament. And let's take a look at this. So we're probably not going to break things down in super crazy detail like we normally would, but let's cover the fundamentals. All right. So we've got our bases in the corners here, and our reinforced paths to the front are relatively unobstructed. From this base, you've got like this very fast shoal path leading kind of to this lower area. Or you can go through the forest and kind of go over wherever you want from that. And you can even send units from this base up to the north front if you really want. You just kind of have to go around some of the forests, but you're not obstructed too heavily. So you got a lot of freedom to kind of send stuff where you want. This base is kind of your flex base. So you've got a reinforced path up to the north side that goes through a single forest. And then you've got a reinforced path to the center that also goes through a single forest. So kind of no matter which way you're going, you're going to be going through that forest. So it's really just up to you which front you want to prioritize from the center base. And then this base is pretty much exclusively going to be for the top front. You're going through a forest, but there's no real easy path to send stuff from here down this way. So it sets up some interesting dynamics, because you really have one base that's pretty strongly dedicated to each side of the map. And then this base really determines a lot of which side becomes your strong side and which side becomes your weak side. If you're sending your reinforcements from this base up here, then that's going to become your strong side. And likewise, if you go this way, then it'll become your strong side as well. Additionally, we've got a very forward airport here. And this airport plays a really important role on this map, because it's further forward than the bases. And generally speaking, when you have an airport that's further forward from the bases, your air units are going to be very relevant in the match, because the reinforced time from your battlecopters is going to be faster than whatever you're reinforcing from your bases. Additionally, we have these island properties, and so you're going to be wanting a T-copter at some point to be able to get those. And so there's some interesting dynamics at play on this map around how much you go for the contested properties that are along kind of the line of contact here on each side, versus how quickly do you invest in teching into some transports to get these relatively uncontested properties, but they're inaccessible through the ground. So let's see. Other than that, we've got a single comm tower here that is relatively safe, unless you have some sort of major like day-to-day advantage, like if you're Von Bolt against somebody in tier 2, like it's hard to really see the comm towers being that contested for very long on this map. So pretty safe 1 versus 1 comm tower map. And then you've got your line of contact really is it's these 3 properties on both sides, and maybe this one too, depending. But especially these 3 in the I guess maybe even this 4th one. This one can swing as well. But you're really kind of fighting over these 4 properties on both sides for the majority of the game, and it's not going to be very easy to push beyond that. In theory, if you can really become dominant on like this front, you could potentially exert pressure on these island properties as well. But generally speaking, the game tends to end before you get to that point. When it comes to fighting on this map, information is incredibly important because both players have the possibility of making either side their strong side. And so if you know which side your opponent is committing to, or which side you think they're committing to, then that's going to allow you to play much more intelligently, because you will be able to play more defensively with your infantry on the side that you're weaker on, and then you're going to be able to attack more aggressively on the side that you're stronger on. And what ends up happening on this map very often is you end up with this is kind of a mid-game scenario that you tend to find a lot when you start playing at really high levels, and that is kind of like a tempo race where you get one side that is clearly stronger on this side, and one army that's very strong on the other side, and they're kind of racing to steal the contested properties faster than the other side can steal the other contested properties. And then once you get the contested properties on that side, then you shift all your stuff to the other side to hopefully then keep these properties while also either delaying these properties or winning a fight when your opponent is overextended too far into your territory and is fighting into a longer reinforced distance. And so whoever can go back and forth between the 2 fronts more quickly and with the right balance of forces often tends to win. And so you can get very swingy games where one player can like lock down a lot of these contested properties, and then if they're able to front shift over to the other side very quickly and stall out the opponent's push in the same area, then one player can like end up with almost all these contested properties, even if there hasn't necessarily been a really decisive fight, because you could have just like kind of everybody throwing all their forces at a single front and nobody really getting anywhere. But if all the properties on both of the sides belong to one player, then they're not getting flipped, and ultimately that's going to lead to a victory for the player that's got the properties. So that's kind of the high level dynamics of the map. Knowing where your opponent is, where they want to attack, and doing it faster and better than them tends to win games. So I think that's enough backstory for this map. I don't think we need to waste any more time. Let's get into this one as I will switch over. Okay, so a few things before we start the match proper. So I'm not going into this replay totally blind like I have with some of the other commentaries. I have seen many parts of this game that I've just kind of looked at casually. I haven't gone through everything in a ton of detail, so I may pick up on some things as I go through it more carefully as we're watching this together. Additionally, I know some other channels have reviewed this game. I know Mangs has a video on this game already. So if you're looking for something a little bit more brief, then I definitely recommend checking that out in addition to what I go over here, because we will obviously be covering the tactics and everything that's happening from a player's perspective. And so if you're interested in learning how to play the game better, then you're probably going to get a lot out of this. But if you're just looking for a recap, this is going to be really long. So just know what you're going to get at this channel. If you're here, you probably know what you're getting anyway. So thank you for hanging out. Okay, so when we're covering this game, as far as vision is concerned, I know traditionally I tend to choose one player's vision and follow only their vision for a while, or for most of the game, to replicate the feeling of seeing what they see. Because if you're looking at a game, seeing everybody's units, then you can't really put yourself into the mind of the player because you're playing with a map pack. It's not realistic. That being said, I know some things about the openers in this game, and so we're actually going to play with full vision. We're going to watch with full vision for at least a couple of days so that I can talk about some things with the openers. And then once we get into the mid game, then I'm going to switch to LaskaLarnar's vision, because I feel like Laska's vision is more interesting to watch for the remainder of the game. So that's the plan, and let's hop and do this thing. So we'll just kind of zoom through the first couple of turns. So this is kind of an interesting start already. So LaskaLarnar is forgoing the base and is going straight for the airport. That is definitely something that you can do on this map. Having a transport copter very early can help with a lot of the a lot of boosties, because you'll know like this city is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away, and if you've watched my opener video, you know that cities that are 7 squares away from base are optimal for having transport copters speed up the captures to that location. So but that this is going to forgo an extra infantry, so just something to keep in mind for the future. And interestingly enough, Rip is also doing the same thing. So both of them delaying the base a turn. And if they're both delaying the base a turn, then it kind of ends up being a moot point. Like the infantry advantage doesn't really mean anything. And this is really crazy. This is a day 3 recon. So not only is this a base skip or a base delay, this is a day 3 recon from LaskaLarnar. This is what I would call an extremely high variance play. Because this map is so big, you tend not to expect early recons, like really, really early recons. Because by the recon has to travel a really large amount of distance to get to anything that can be harassed, and by the time like it even gets to here, infantry are going to be on like these cities, and they're still very close to the bases. And so if Rip has built any sort of vehicles and sent them to this side, then it's really unlikely that the recon is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Even if there's just another recon from Rip built on like day 5 or something like that that's heading in this direction, the recon can do enough damage to the other recon to really make the damage caused relatively minor. Like maybe you can interrupt one property at best, and then you're going to get hit by the other recon. You have to kind of run away to retreat, and then you're taking that economic penalty of not having this third infantry to start capping all these properties here. So that being said, I think I don't have Laska here to ask what the thought pattern was, but I kind of feel like because this is something you don't see often, and it's very, very risky, this is something that is potential. It has a lot of potential to catch Rip off guard, because this is just not something that you do very often. And so Rip is probably unlikely to have tanks going this way early, because it is such a big map, and you just don't expect your opponent to go a day 3 recon on this map. So I kind of like it, actually. It's not something that I would do very often, but it's one of those things where if you really want to play at a high level, and play against the best players consistently, you have to do some crazy things like this every now and then just to keep people honest. Because if people think you're too scared to do stuff like this, then they're going to take advantage of it, and they're just going to throw greed builds at you day after day after day. And if you never punish it, then you're going to be even at best in your openers because your opponents are getting away with murder. So I think this is really cool. But in terms of like opening builds, like this is as aggro as you can possibly get. So let's see what happens on the other side. So just standard stuff so far from Rip. And so now we've got our first T-copter. This is why you get this T-copter. I don't know what Rip's going to do with it, but one thing that you can do is you can send this guy down here, and then he can go here, and then this guy gets boosted to here to capture this city, and then you build an infantry the next turn, and then the T-copter kind of takes it away somewhere. So it's like nice efficiency. I don't know if Rip's actually going to do that, but I know that that is a thing that you can do that is good. I love this build now from LaskaLarnar. This is so cool. I really do like the old aggro greed. Like this is really cool. It's again extremely risky because basically what's happening here is, okay, this is the most aggressive recon possible. If Rip has anything down here, it gets shut down really hard, and then what's behind it? Like absolutely nothing. So if Rip, opens, day 5 double recon, which is a very standard thing that you can do on this map, then this recon now has free reign to just totally take over this other front. So it's risky, but LaskaLarnar is the thinking is sound, right? Like it makes sense. Like if this recon is successful, then it's really going to mess Rip's opening up, and that is going to allow me to get away with the T-copter doing aggressive things elsewhere, aggressive captures elsewhere, because Rip's going to have to scramble to deal with the harass down here. And so it's aggression, but it's not more aggression than necessary. And it's not just like it's not an all-in, for example. It's aggressive, but it's not it's not like completely insane. So it looks like this infantry got boosted, which is kind of interesting. What is getting this infantry here accomplish? You can go here, 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 I guess. Saves him 1 turn to that property. I don't know if he's going to end up going to that property. We'll see. Kind of interesting to send the T-copter north, but that is a thing you can do. And Rip being pretty greedy here, just really focusing on infantry production. This is, I guess, the classic Stalingrad strat, right? Like you're trying to avoid building vehicles until you absolutely need to, because you want to maximize that infantry efficiency and get as many infantry out on the map as possible, so that you can get as many properties as quickly as possible, and then you'll have enough income to really start spamming out those vehicles, and they'll catch up with the infantry. And as long as you don't get harassed, well, it works out great. But we know that that's not going to happen. The harass is definitely coming. And so this guy is coming down here also. I have a quibble here. I don't know if this infantry is actually any closer to a city. I feel like it might have been better to actually put the T-copter here so that it can pick up this infantry next turn. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this infantry. I just I'm curious about the T-copter movement. And again, just more infantry. So there's absolutely nothing behind this at all. So they kind of have the same mindset of, I need to get a lot of infantry out, but LaskaLarnar has committed to that really early recon before spamming out the infantry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really love the T-copter up to the north side so far. I don't feel like it's gained that much efficiency compared to the other side, but I don't know. Whoa, okay. He's going to boost here. Okay, so then this guy probably is going to end up on this city. Okay, and then it's going to boost this guy. All right. That checks out, I guess. It's a little weird. Yeah, and so now here come the vehicles. So tank recon, and this is kind of nice. So this guy is gonna get what he can get done here, and now all the vehicles are gonna go this way to protect against any sort of harass. Now timed with the infantry arriving at the contested properties. So very, very sound build order by LaskaLarnar. Like it a lot. And Rip kind of just full committing up here, it looks like, because it looks like we got all the vehicles heading this way. But the vehicles are kind of a half turn earlier for Rip. And Rip going for the islands already. So kind of greedy. And this is day 8. It's day 8, and now the day 3 recon has its first chance to actually get damage done. So that's pretty crazy. That this is why you don't see day 3 recons very often. It is, you build the recon on day 3 and you're waiting 5 days before you actually get any damage done. It's kind of emphasizes the risk of doing this opener. And so LaskaLarnar almost to the line of contested properties. Remember, these 3 and then this port are really kind of the primary contested properties on this side. And generally, these 3 are going to belong to player 1. And then player 2 is generally going to get these 3, but it doesn't always have to be that way. Okay, so their T-copter play is very, very similar. Maybe not how I would have done it, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And this recon just sat in the forest. So I don't know. I kind of feel like, let's make sure that he actually, he sat in the forest. Sat in the forest. Okay. So, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to sit in the forest here, you should build the recon 1 day later. Because having it be on day 3 didn't actually accomplish anything. You could have had an extra infantry out on that day 3 and gotten the same amount of damage done. But that's okay. We're here now. And Rip is definitely not going to be expecting that recon to be there. And look at this deploy from Rip. We've got double artillery, 1 for each front. This is very, very, very greedy. This is, it's not like there are other greeds or other builds that you can do that are greedier than this, but in terms of like focus on like the mid game, like this is a very mid game focused build, not focusing on getting very maneuverable or vehicles out, but really setting up for like a stall game. Like kind of, I think in Rip's mind, maybe Rip is hoping that, okay, we'll kind of handshake on taking the contested properties and we'll kind of get into the mid game and we'll set up fights, you know, around like day 12 or 13. We'll start doing some pushes, but I'll have artillery out on both sides, so I'll be set up pretty well to fight around then. But that's not what's going to happen, because LaskaLarnar has that sneaky recon hiding in the trees. And now starting to get these contested properties, or at least this one. This one's generally the safest of the three. These two often will get harassed. That's kind of some cute movement to avoid the infantry vision, so that Rip doesn't know that it's actually a day 3 recon. Kind of cool, but gonna get hit down there, and then that also blocks this infantry from going down here, because I think Rip wanted to get to that port. So that's kind of a nice harass location. Like in the end, it kind of works out pretty well, because having the recon here, it's relatively unlikely that there's any defense coming, because you have pretty good vision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so kind of unlikely that there's like a tank back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so like you wouldn't expect to be a tank for there to be a tank kind of hanging out of vision. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it ends up being like relatively safe for LaskaLarnar. With the vision that LaskaLarnar's seen, very unlikely that there's going to be anything to hit this recon, because of the tank movements. The tank would be here if it had been built the previous turn, and if it was built earlier than that, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'd be like, you know, here, or like somewhere here, maybe like in these trees or something. But then LaskaLarnar would have seen it with the recon, so I can be pretty confident that it's not there. And this gives really good information as well, because LaskaLarnar has seen no vision or no vehicles on this front, which very likely means all the vehicles are going to be up here. So that's very important information for LaskaLarnar to get, knowing that LaskaLarnar probably needs to focus on sending all the vehicles over here, because as soon as LaskaLarnar gets on these cities, there's probably going to be a fight. Rip's going to want to take a fight over there, because that's where Rip is strongest. So, and you can see that the vehicle allocation matches that. So this is really sound fundamentals by LaskaLarnar. Good use of, you know, translating vision into sound decision making in kind of all the aspects of the game. And this, I mean, this is just so painful. It's so painful to have to give this up, because by moving this infantry off the city, it's basically just telling just telling LaskaLarnar that there's nothing on this front. If there was maybe a tank that was going to come next turn, like if there was a tank here, for example, then you could leave the 5 HP guy on the city, capture again, and force LaskaLarnar to leave the recon here to kill it. And then the following turn, you, or I guess it would have to be like kind of out of sight or whatever, right? But regardless, you can basically set it up so that LaskaLarnar has to make a blind judgment about whether there's a tank coming next turn or not. But instead, by pulling everything back, you kind of give away the information free that there's no more vehicles coming on this side. And that further reinforces that there's likely to be a lot of stuff up on the north side. So very good intelligence. And I think we're getting pretty close to the point where we're going to switch vision over. I think at the end of this turn. Okay. Let's, we've seen day 10 now. We've seen the openers. I hope watching that from the perspective of both players was informative. But now we're going to go into the tank, and based on what LaskaLarnar has seen, I don't really think that even hiding the vision is going to necessarily affect our understanding of where everything is at on the board, because LaskaLarnar should really have a pretty good idea of what the situation is just by what we've seen so far with the infantry movements. So we got the recon here in a relatively safe spot. You got to be careful with recons on shoals. When you're playing against Jake, you really don't want to have a recon on a shoal next to a plane, because that is begging to be one-hit killed by a tank. And if you get your recons one-hit killed by tanks, then you're going to have a bad time. Even if you're in decent position to counterattack, bad things tend to happen. So we got a day 10 anti-air. This is pretty standard anti-air timing. No early copters this game. Kind of interesting. That is something that you can get in early if you want, but electing to play it relatively safe. And this is kind of cool. This is basically setting up for counterattack. LaskaLarnar expecting that this is going to get harassed, and also this infantry does not go on this city. So that infantry just stayed in those woods and did nothing, rather than go for this uncaptured contested city. So that shows LaskaLarnar knows where Rip is strong, and knows, though, if I send an infantry on this city, Rip's going to have 2 infantry just to kill it with the plane. So it's just not worth it. It's best to delay, because Rip is going to feel strong on that north side, and is just gonna commit to an attack if the opportunity presents itself. So kind of baiting in an attack here, but not overcommitting. So again, really good stuff. Really good knowledge of the situation. So the harass, really successful, delayed this city by a bunch of turns, completely prevented Rip from having any chance of getting this, and also Rip can't advance to get any of these contested cities that Rip would normally want to get, because this recon is chilling and Rip doesn't have anything to defend against it. It's literally only this recon. And Rip is thinking maybe it's this recon and 2 tanks, but Rip doesn't know, because Rip doesn't have anything on this side. So that's why Rip has to, Rip's kind of handcuffed here. But in actuality, it's just this recon and everything else is ready to fight here. This is the dynamic I was talking about earlier, where if one player gets these contested properties and then is able to also get some of these contested properties, and then all of the armies are kind of apportioned equally to the same side and they just kind of stalemate, then it's a massive massive advantage to whoever is controlling the properties, because you're just likely to have armies that are kind of fighting each other, but as long as the properties aren't flipping, then whoever has the most money is going to get the most stuff if things are trading evenly. So no lucky hits there. And so it's a roll that was unlikely to work. And so this is a lot better. If you go for this city, that's a guaranteed kill. But because you went for this city, now this 1 HP infantry can live to see another day and block somewhere, be obnoxious in a forest. And now these infantry are on roads, so they're going to get cleaned up pretty trivially. Yeah, so this is exactly what 1 HP infantry are good for. So sees the recon in the woods. Probably can't do anything about that recon, but knowing it's there is nice. Look at all these tanks. So Chosen is definitely a map that you want to have artillery on both fronts if you can. These forests are insanely strong for artillery, especially these, because artillery in these forests locks like all these properties and all these properties that are contested. So that's something that you want to have available to you. LaskaLarnar just clearing out the weakened infantry and setting up very, very defensively here. And crucially, showed the recon all the tanks 1 square out of range. So Laska disguising strength on this north front very, very carefully, making sure Rip doesn't know. Rip has to worry about this entire side having, like, for all Rip knows, these 3 tanks could be down here. And so Rip is giving up all these contested properties because Rip has to respect that possibility. But they're actually here, and now LaskaLarnar is like, hey, come and fight my infantry with your vehicles. And then if you do, you get smacked by the entire army. So it's really good stuff. Yeah, look how far back Rip has to play. Rip is playing so scared because there's just no confirmation of any vehicles. But now the confirmation shows up. So this recon gonna see these 2 tanks. I almost think that maybe these 2 tanks should have been back a little bit further. I don't think there's any need for them to be this close. And we could have kept the ruse going a little bit longer. Like, this guy could have been in this forest potentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Yeah, I think he could have maybe been a little bit further back. But regardless, it's nitpicking for sure. So you see an infantry going here. This Rip is going to try and delay these caps a little bit, but not committing much to that. And we see the artillery show up, so that's nice. This recon seeing that artillery. Oh, and this that's really critical. So yeah, we see an artillery here and an artillery here, so that's really good information. A little bit surprising that well, okay, I get it, but this is very, very passive. I guess if you're, yeah, I guess going for this property, playing against a Jake is probably not great, because for the same reason, like, you get 2 infantry on these grass tiles, and your infantry is dead for sure. So also this formation here protects the artillery. If you're gonna have a vehicle hit the artillery, you are gonna for sure have to clear one of these infantry off, because you need this square for vision, or one of these 2 squares for vision, and then another one to be able to hit it. So Rip just gonna be locking down this property here, and we're gonna probably have a big staring match over there. But yeah, so this property, it's kind of a tough one to take for the same reason as the one we just talked about, because these 2 grass tiles means infantry can just remove that very inexpensively and without any rolls. Even though we know that there's an artillery here, but you're trading 1 infantry for 1 infantry currently, so it's not bad. And obviously denying the property is important. So this is kind of interesting. The tank goes in to clear the recon away with full knowledge that this artillery's here. So just deliberately putting that tank into artillery range. It almost seems like a mistake. Wow, okay. But now it makes perfect sense. So Laska is got this this artillery here, and Laska's like, you want to fight into my tanks? You want to start tank trading on this tile? Sure, you can have your artillery covering the city, but if you don't follow up with a tank hit of your own, then we just traded like half of a tank for a full recon. And so in terms of unit count, that's still actually good for the tank. So I think this is a really savvy move. And also, you have the additional benefit of killing this recon. Now there's no vision, most likely. No vision that we know about to see this artillery sneak in there. So it almost looks like a mistake, but it's not a mistake. It's a really savvy play. And another artillery. This is a little crazy. I think third artillery, I don't know about that. But starting to get the copter spam going. We're at 22K. It's looking great for LaskaLarnar. LaskaLarnar has been, I think this is like an immaculate game so far. I haven't seen really any mistakes at all so far. It's been really, really sound. What was that? That was an artillery. Okay, so the artillery shifted in here. You see the artillery again. The recon doing incredible work spotting the artillery shifting around. So really, really tremendous vision by LaskaLarnar. Obviously, Laska will have to give up ambitions on this city, but that's okay. The port has been secured. Really critical. And actually, both ports have been secured. So that's tremendous. These ports are very, very good properties to get. If you find yourself losing on a front, one of the things you can do at the port is you can just build a black boat to prevent it from getting captured. And it really can cause a tremendous amount of delay. And even though you're spending some money on the black boat, denying that property from flipping for like 3 or 4 turns overall pays for the money invested in the black boat. So things looking very, very good for LaskaLarnar so far. So in terms of like the properties we see, so we're up 1, 2, 3 properties. So we're up 3K minimum right now. If we deny this, then we'll kind of secure that. But being up 3K after the capture phase in a mirror, tremendous. It's a really good start. And now we're kind of entering the stalemate portion of the game where LaskaLarnar has kind of gotten what he's wanted up here, what Jake's wanted up there. And now it's maybe it's time to start thinking about this other front now, because the artillery's arriving. So LaskaLarnar is going to be able to start thinking about fighting down here too if we do a front shift. But we'll see how it plays out. I just don't know how easily it's gonna be for, or how easy it's gonna be for LaskaLarnar to actually secure this with the stalemate that we've got here. Interesting. So damaging this guy, just slowing down potential future captures of this property. That is really cool. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what we just saw there. So this is LaskaLarnar is delaying, playing for time, knowing that the terrain here on this city is very favorable to attack this way. And so LaskaLarnar does not actually need to kill this infantry in a single turn. LaskaLarnar can delay it longer by doing one plane's infantry hit this turn. And now the infantry's got to stay on here. So something's got to come and clear this infantry off, but not from the city. And then the next turn, Laska can just send another infantry in and finish killing this guy. And now the city will be even further delayed. And so this is the tempo that I was talking about in the map introduction, where LaskaLarnar got some cities up here, was able to be successful in the positioning war up there, and now LaskaLarnar is just kind of trying to stall out the other side as long as possible. And even though this isn't like perfectly unit count efficient, like we're trading, in the long run, we're trading 2 infantry for 1 infantry, right, to delay this city. But as long as it's delayed long enough, the fact that the properties are in Laska's favor are going to be valuable. I don't know what was. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I saw that 7 HP infantry move next to the port, and I kind of, cue your modem, dial-up modem noise playing in my brain as I tried to figure out what's going on, because that guy is just going to die for nothing, I think. I don't get that one. We'd probably have to be playing with Rip's vision in order to understand that one. I guess Rip just had no vision and wanted to make sure that forest was safe for the recon to go into. I just don't know why that infantry would go in front of the forest instead of, like, I don't know, somewhere else. But anyway, it's happened. So it looks like, okay, so the artillery took care of that infantry. So that's good, because now we know the artillery is still going to be there next turn. All right. So now this is getting into a very complex game, because now everything revolves around where's the stuff. It's the age-old question. Where's the stuff? So LaskaLarnar has a lot of stuff in this corner. And I think LaskaLarnar was maybe anticipating Rip to try and attack there. But now all this stuff kind of moved back. And so this makes me think that stuff is shifting down here, and that actually Rip's plan is to try and fight down here, because Rip knows that, again, if 2 equal forces meet here, then it's just going to be trading evenly with Rip having 3k less income. So I think that's what's going on. And I'm actually curious enough that I might turn on the lights for a second just to see if we're right about this intuition. But basically, it does seem like there might be a shift down to this other front. Yeah, it seems like Rip might be setting up for that. You can see that this is at the pivot, right? So all the vehicles are at the pivot. So they have the option to still kind of come back this way. But it does seem like Rip might be thinking about, okay, this front here was too strong, and now we're going to be we're going to try the other side, try our luck on the other front, and see if we can get a favorable engagement down there. But that being said, look where the reinforcements are going. They're also going down here. So LaskaLarnar is well aware of the risks. And this T-copter is doing great. This is going to be the last island property getting captured here, so good stuff. Another artillery. This is a little bit wild, honestly. That's like a lot of artillery. Like 4 artillery, that's a lot. I mean, even as Jake, like that's a lot. This infantry fight, that was a really good infantry fight for LaskaLarnar. And you can see that LaskaLarnar understands what Rip might be trying. And the reason you can see it is because this infantry killed this infantry by moving this way instead of staying on the port. If LaskaLarnar thought, we're strong down here, just leave the infantry on the port and kill the infantry that was here. But LaskaLarnar is like, oh, I might be getting attacked down here. I want to pull my infantry into a better position so that it's safer, because there's a recon here. If I leave the infantry here, then it's probably just end up dying. But at least if he dies here, then there's going to be more units that are drawn into potentially artillery range or low defense terrain. So this recon sees the world, or at least a little bit. Sees this tank, so it's kind of interesting. An interesting position. It's very, very, very far back for the way that this game has gone. Like, if you look at the meters, like there's really not been a whole lot of fighting. For day 14, our army value is at like 130k, and we've taken, how much damage have we taken? Yeah, like about 10k and some change on both sides in terms of damage. So the sizes of the army are pretty large compared to the damage that's been done so far. But Rip is positioned very far back on this side, very defensively. Interesting. I don't know about that. Sure. That's cute, I guess. Whoa. Whoa, that's a lander. That is a lander. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't like the lander. I don't like it. I guess the idea is like you put the lander here, and then you can shuttle stuff more quickly to here. I just don't think it speeds up stuff enough to justify the price. And I think if you're going to do a lander, why not just build a black boat here and start threatening this property, given how far back the stuff you see is. The risk of the lander is you invest this 12k, it's like half your income for the turn. You invest in this, and then you're not going to get any benefit from it for a minimum of like 2 turns, because it's got to go here or wherever it's going to go to pick up units and then drop them off again. So there's like this gap in your reinforcements, or in the strength of your reinforcements, I guess, like in your vehicle reinforcements, that I don't know. Yeah, it's not like game losing. I just think that other uses of the funds would be better. Like, you're at 25k, like this is teching time. Like, you can think about Neos, you can think about bombers, I mean, I guess there are a lot of artillery, so you're not super worried about enemy Neos necessarily. And you're playing against Jake, so when powers come, Neos can be a liability, but like, I don't know. Why not Bomber? Okay, so Recon comes in here, so it's good to know. And here comes an, this looks like an attack on this side, so. Boy, this is, I think, this is the day 3 Recon right here. Like, look at this guy. This guy, 10 fuel left. Like, give this guy a medal, please. What a hero. Okay, well, so the good thing, so good recon positioning by LaskaLarnar. We see everything we need to know here. We see everything we need to know. The vehicles that are already defensively positioned have retreated. So that means, and also the vehicles here attacked. And it's not a blind attack, right? But it is an attack into a place that Rip was reluctant to attack before. So it's very likely that all the stuff is here, about to arrive here. So with what we've seen, we should be able to know all that. Now, we're going to flip on the lights again, and we're going to see if we're right. But this is a good skill. This is like a good thing to practice if you're playing Fog. You should be able to look at this replay and be able to pick out all those things purely based on what LaskaLarnar sees. You should be able to kind of see through the fog in this situation, and it's really important that you can, because if you are correct about where you think your opponent's army is, that is going to determine what the next move is for you strategically. Voila. There's the whole army. Exactly where we thought it was. So we don't see any of this, but we didn't need to, because those 2 recons on the front lines, like, boop, we know exactly where it is. So again, we can correctly assume, as well, we know it's correct, but as Laska, we're assuming, okay, army is here. This positioning is really, really, really wimpy. Now is the time to get these properties. Like, let's force an engagement here over these 2 properties because this is so weak looking. And then maybe we can, we want to delay as much here as we can. So I think this recon has got to go for sure. I don't know if we necessarily need to do much more than that. Okay. Doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel great. But I get it. Like, you wanna kill the recons to mask, to make the rest of the fighting more risky for Rip, so that Rip can't see, like, okay, are the reinforcements coming? But again, this is why the lander is bad. This is why the lander is bad, because, like, this is the critical moment where we need, like, all the reinforcements that we can get. Like, you know, if you got a bomber coming down this way instead of the copter, then you can start to, like, try to bait in the anti-airs and try to, you know, stall out the fight that way. But now it's anyway. So yeah, this turn kind of plays itself, right? Like, now we're just going nuts over here. Yeah, sending in the copter, like, no fear. These contested properties belong to us. That is nice, though. So clear those 2 recons. I don't know. I don't love aggressively committing the copter there. I almost wonder if maybe just leaving the recon alive would have been better. Because like, all this is going to die. And it's just to kill a recon. But this, like sacrificing this tank to kill this recon, worth it 1,000,000 times over. 1,000,000 times worth it. And it looks like we're going to give up on this city, which is fine. We're not in a position that we can contest this, so we just have to give it up. But we're also getting this city, so it's not putting us any more in the hole. We're going to keep things the same. All right, well, goodbye, copter. Yeah, not super surprising to see our frontline units get steamrolled there. But even though this tank takes damage, like tank took out a recon. He did his job. It's okay. Wow, and even a further retreat up here. So it's basically conceding these two properties. Really passive play by Rip. Rip is putting a lot of pressure on himself here. Rip really needs to win this fight over here. Otherwise, the tempo is going to be so far in LaskaLarnar's favor that it's unrecoverable. All right, so yeah, so we got this property. So it's still 3K advantage for LaskaLarnar, and it's been that way since like day 10. So this is starting to become a pretty substantial amount of income difference. And if we look at the income stats here, so it kind of goes back and forth, right? But when you're looking at total generated funds, one player should be about half of their turn's income ahead of the other player if the game is even. So the fact that these two numbers are almost the same means that over the course of the game, LaskaLarnar is about a half turn's income ahead of Rip over the course of the game, which is about 12K. And 12K is almost 2 tanks. Okay, so it's a substantial difference, and it's only going to get bigger the longer that things stay this way. Yeah. Wow. That's a really aggressive place to put a recon. But okay, that's fine. So we're going to build the wall, and we're going to just say, hey, if you're going to play this far back, I'm going to take it. Can you imagine, though, if this lander had been a black boat? Oh, it would have been so much better. It would have been so much better. It hurts a little bit. It hurts a little bit. I don't really know that all these copters need to be this far forward. I don't know what benefit that provides. Like, what are these guys really accomplishing by being here? All right. So I think LaskaLarnar has played a spectacular game so far, understanding kind of the big picture mechanics. A+ to LaskaLarnar to this point. I will say that I have some quibbles with some of the tactics. There's some things that are just not quite as good as they could be, and they haven't mattered so far, but they might later if things if things go late. But I mean, this is crazy. Like if Laska gets this is gonna be a 5K income lead, which is very substantial. The Lander now, I think, providing, like, this is the first reinforces that have been sped up by the Lander. So let's look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's like accelerating one tank move. So I mean, it almost cancels out, I guess. I don't know. Now we gotta start worrying about charge. We're almost to the superpowers now. The block rock is coming. That's cute. I like the deception moves that LaskaLarnar is pulling with his movement. It's like, oh, you see my artillery? I'm gonna pull him back this way. Nope, actually he's going back down this way, just out of the vision of the copter. That is kind of cute. I kind of feel like Rip maybe could have been more aggressive with the attack. Because like this is a lot of stuff. And Rip really had like everything down here. I don't necessarily know why Rip didn't go kind of harder into this corner. Because Rip's already losing this as it is, so what's the benefit of playing passive? But I don't know. What do I know? But yeah, I mean, this is nice. This is a nice retreat. Like, again, it's the stalling dynamic. You get these properties, and then you delay these properties as long as possible. And if you end up with them all, it's basically a game-winning board for you. And it's not like the fighting has been like particularly uneven. Okay, so it's like if you look at the charge, here's a handy fact for you. If you're looking just purely at the bars, if nobody's used a power, the total difference in damage taken between the players is double the difference between the bars. Right. So like here, it's 41,600 charge, and Rip has 37,300. So it's about 4K difference, right? LaskaLarnar has 4K charge more. And so that means that if you look at the actual damage taken, it's actually 8K. So Laska's taken 8K more damage. So if you're trying to like calculate like back of the thumb, that's not a real saying, is it? I don't know. My brain is melted after these last couple of weeks. Anyway, if you're trying to get an idea of like, do I have more stuff? And there's been no powers, then you can very easily calculate without having to like look through the replay or doing anything like that. You can just like, oh, look at the two numbers, take the difference and double it, and that whoever has the higher number, they've taken that much more damage than you over the course of the early game. So the more you know. What was that? That was a 3 HP recon, looks like, coming into the forest there. All right, this is a really critical turn. So first of all, we got the property. We're up 5K income now. But the charge is incredibly dangerous. Because basically any amount of fighting is going to lead to a superpower. And Laska is up 5k. And we got a black boat here. What I hate to be a broken record. Had this black boat been built the lander turn, it would be 7k by this point. Just saying. Things are easy in hindsight, I suppose. But when you're up 5k in a game like this, and the trading has been relatively even, there's really only one thing that you need to make sure doesn't happen. And that is giving your opponent an incredibly devastating first superpower. So forget the stalling and the back and forth and everything like that. Income doesn't matter for the next 2 turns. The thing that matters is we need to play the charge management game properly. There's really 2 different ways we can approach it. One is we can give our opponent enough charge to get a super, but we're going to be positioned in a way that they cannot exploit the super. So that means like we want to be on a lot of high defense properties, as far back as possible, infantry out of range, things like that. So that even if our opponent goes for like a big block rock, we're going to have enough stuff left over afterwards to have a really devastating counterattack. Because you basically force the block rock to extend really deep into your territory, and then your reinforcements are going to be there really fast with the extra movement, and then you're trading kind of back in your territory, which is good for you in terms of reinforcements, because you'll have more stuff there, and you'll win the fight that way. So that's one way to do it. And the other way is just to make your opponent give you block rock first. So you need to do one of the 2 things. But the one thing that you absolutely cannot do is give your opponent a really, really devastating block rock, because the economic victory at this point is so secure, so lopsided. LaskaLarnar has won the positioning fight this game so hard that, barring some catastrophic imbalance in the trading from now on, the sheer fact is if they trade 1 for 1 and LaskaLarnar has 5k more funds every single turn from now on to build more stuff with, eventually LaskaLarnar is going to have a lot more stuff. And it doesn't matter how smart Rip is, you generally need more stuff to win. This is Advance Wars. This is how it works. So this turn is unbelievably important to set up correctly, tactically. The positioning is super important because it's 17k with army sizes of, almost 200k. It's almost like nothing. Like any sufficiently large vehicle exposure, your opponent will be able to get block rock very trivially. So the details are really, really important in this turn. It's got to be done right. And ideally, I think there's a few objectives. I'm going to spend some time talking about this turn because it is literally like, this is the last thing that could go wrong before Alaska wins. So you got to make sure you do this right. So let's look at the fronts. We have objectives on each front. So the last couple of turns have been kind of weird. So it looked like Rip was going to be attacking really strongly on this front. But then it kind of petered out and didn't end up really happening that much. And now, Rip got like this city. That's it. And now he's capturing this city, but this city, it's going to be denied a million times over. Like, you got these 2 infantry, they can just kind of go in and kill this, whatever, it's done. So not going to get that city. Or at least it can be delayed another turn. Now, it's like the movement's been weird. Like, we saw a copter go down here, but Why isn't Rip attacking more this way? One could be Rip is about to set up for like a big attack in this corner, and there's like a lot of stuff in this area here. But the other could be that maybe Rip has pivoted back this way and is trying to catch this overextended army. So we don't really have enough information to know for sure, but by the end of this turn, we really ought to be able to know for sure because we have recons. And not only do we have recons, we have the best kind of recons, especially on this front. We have crappy beat up recons. So what we should be doing before we do anything else in this turn is we should probably be sacking one of these recons. This is like the literal first thing that happens on this turn. You choose either this recon or this recon. Probably should be this recon because we got a replacement for it coming already. So this recon is like, okay, your job is to run this way as far as possible and see where the stuff is. Like I would just run him like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stick him here. If he runs into something, great. Who cares? His job is just to see, is the death ball here or is it somewhere else? We must know because we need this information to plan the rest of our turn. Once we do that, then we need to think about sacking one of these recons. And we can just send it into one of these exposed infantry here. If we really want to, hey, send him into this 4 HP infantry. Trade 1 unit for 1 unit. But we've been winning on income the whole game. It is time to make sure that we don't lose. And by the way, getting rid of these recons makes it really likely that we could get superpower next turn. Okay, so before we do anything else, that is what we need to do. That is the game plan for this turn. And once we have that information and we know where all the stuff is, then we can reevaluate how we are going to position everything on this front. We probably want to be retreating on this front no matter what, because there's really no more realistic objectives for us to get. But the manner and how we retreat and all that kind of depends on what we see. So let's see what actually happens. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, this is okay. I don't mind this either. So this is fine. And now we see 3 tanks. And there's a tank here. So we see 4 tanks here. Right? It's these 4. That's a lot of tanks. So it definitely seems like Rip probably pivoted a lot of stuff back this way and is trying to catch all of these units out of position and get a block rock that way. That's my guess. I almost wonder, we may not even need to sacrifice this recon anymore, seeing this many tanks. It's like, okay, we're definitely retreating on this side because this side is very dangerous for us. We're very far forward. We've got a lot of artillery. We need to make it very uncomfortable to be attacked into on this northern front. So from now on, anything that moves on this northern front is a mistake. The reason it's a mistake is because we haven't moved this recon yet. The ordering really, really, really matters. We need to know, is Rip splitting 50-50? Or is everything here? And we would know very clearly if we move this 2 HP recon. So now all the repositioning happens. Okay, so first of all the repositioning happens before we even know anything about this front. That's not good. So all that was a mistake. Oh, that's unlucky. That's unlucky. that's like a 65 to 70% chance to get that. Oh, we got the 3 HP infantry. That doesn't even matter. Whatever. Who cares? Would be nice to get this infantry. Wow. He just went for it. Okay. So now we see there's nothing here. This needed to be like the first thing that happened. This needed to be the first thing that happened. Because now everything must be here. Look, there's nothing here. There's nothing here at all. So first of all, we can just go in here. And go in. You can send like, you know, tank if you want. Clear out this infantry. And then send the crappy recon in here. You can do that if you want. Okay. If you're gonna do this, send the 2 HP infantry. Send the 2 HP recon. Just to make sure there's no copters that can sack into this anti-air. You gotta be really careful, because the one way you could screw this up is by giving rip anti-air. Oh, wait, there is a copter down here. We see this. Okay, this is absolutely ludicrous. Should never, ever, 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 ever be sending this anti-air to clear this. I know it kills it in one hit and it feels good, but you cannot allow the possibility of a sack into this anti-air. You just can't do it. You got so many other ways to do it. Don't choose that one. You can't. This is not a wall. This is not a wall. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, I know we spent a lot of time talking about a turn where very little fighting happened, but we have to stay here for a while. So let's talk about the good and the bad. The good, I like the formation here, with the exception of this anti-air. Like, yikes, this guy should not be here. Not anywhere close to the copter. But what's in front of everything? A lot of infantry. Not likely to give away a lot of charge. So that's good. That part is good. Other than the anti-air and this flimsy wall. Like the fact that this copter has a realistic path to sack into the anti-air if there's a tank here. Not great. But... oh, actually, and this guy can potentially kill this infantry. Well, I mean, regardless, if there's a tank here, like it's... the copter can sack. So that would be real bad. So yeah, that should not have happened. That was not good. I mean, honestly, I might have even considered letting the infantry live. And it seems a little bit crazy, but the charge matters so much more than the infantry's life. Smack it with a tank if you need to, but I don't know. Anyway. Okay, on this side, I have a lot of issues with this. A lot of issues. I mentioned earlier about how, like, LaskaLarnar, strategically, really good. Tactically, a little scary sometimes. This is really scary. This is... we know everything is here. This is not far back enough. This needs to be... like, these guys need to be here on these defensive tiles. There's no, like, this tank should not be here. There's no reason for this tank to be here. This tank should not be here. There's no reason for this tank to be here. This artillery should be on this port. I mean, I don't know exactly what the movement ranges were, but like, this anti-air should be like on the city, and this artillery should be in the forest and things like that. Like, everything should have been moved back like as much as possible. There's no advantage to having the wall like this. That being said, the way the front line of the wall is put together is quite nice. This is a good front wall. Very little opportunities to get charge. It's the stuff behind the wall, the positioning of all this stuff that I hate it. I hate it. I really, really hate it. I'm sure nothing bad will happen because of this. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay. I would just like you to note at this point, if that copter sacrifice had not been available, Rip is going to have to spend almost every single tank move fighting into infantry in order to make up that remaining. So I mean, let's say, so if the copter doesn't go in here, then it probably goes and it hits this tank instead. So the copter is going to still generate some charge, but it got like, was like 30% of an anti-air, and it's like about 1,500 plus 9,000. So it's about, I got about like 10k charge from that. If it just goes into the tank, then it's getting, you know, like 6 HP on a tank, which is like 2,000. So the difference is like almost about 7 to 8,000 of charge difference. I don't even know if sending every single tank in here would be able to generate that missing 8,000 charge. And if it doesn't, then LaskaLarnar block rocks into Rip in the next turn and just annihilates everything with all these artillery, because you can't break the wall otherwise. Like, you know, what's going to challenge these artillery? They're all out of range. But now it's block rock time, and now we're having much less fun than we were having a few minutes ago. Well, that was apocalyptic. If I had to rate this block rock out of 10, this block rock rated apocalypse. In the words of a famous Dota caster, it's a disaster. Not my greatest impression. Sorry, I'm not. I don't do those. Anyway, so LaskaLarnar made one really, really big positioning mistake and a whole bunch of really, really small positioning mistakes, and got absolutely blasted in the face because of it. First of all, neither of these two tanks should have been hit because they should have been farther back. So I mean, it's literally just like +2 tanks if those are positioned better. Maybe this artillery dies though, who knows, but regardless. This artillery probably should have been here. I mean, it just it hurts. It hurts a little bit because it's a one game. if this doesn't happen, it's literally just over. It's just an over game. You play it out, and now, I mean, the good news is we're gonna win down here really hard. So everything just gets annihilated down here. But now, it's not over anymore. It should have been over, and now it's not. Was there a better way to do that? Probably not. Okay, I'll indulge my curiosity another time. Anyway, so everything in the other front gets wiped out. But the problem, all right, so here, let's talk. Okay, so this, sure, like this is auto. You wipe out everything down there and you start eating these properties as quickly as you can, because now we're playing the tempo game, right? We totally wiped out this front. We want to capture as much stuff down here as we can, faster than we lose all of our stuff up here. Now, we got our face kicked in pretty hard down there. The good news is we do have a lot of copters, and we do have an anti-air. So I guess the next plan of action does kind of make sense, where we can use our artillery to pop this anti-air here, and then use this anti-air to kill this copter, and then maybe we start winning the copter fight, and we can kind of stall this out. So that part makes sense. Let's see how we do it in practice. That's kind of nice. I don't know if sacking that infantry was necessary. I feel like, I don't know, maybe there was some roll stuff going on there. Okay, so I'm fine with all this so far. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably fine. This is nice though. Like getting the recon to delay this. So, like, the income wise, even though we just took like the apocalypse of block rocks, the income is so far in our advantage, and we are likely to flip these cities before we lose these cities. All we really need to do is just stabilize, or even stabilize and maintain some level of income lead, and it's still not a lost game. We got the lander, right? Like, the lander's boosting stuff. I mean, but look at what if these were units though, right? But anyway, if we can kind of drag the fighting to like here and stall it out, it's still a potential one game. I don't love the Neo tank though. The reason I don't love the Neo tank is we have 4 copters here. The play is have more copters, tanks stare at copters, and the push stalls. This needs to be a bomber. It needs to be a bomber. The bomber is going to get to the fight much more quickly, 1 turn faster. I guess you get the lander, so I guess that will help the Neo tank a little bit. 4, 5, 6. I mean, it's going to get like half a tank move. But every single anti-air that Rip has is going to be showing up right here to kill all your copters. So the bomber is a great way to to also kill anti-air. I don't know what this play is. I don't know what that was supposed to be. This guy has 4 supply, like 4 fuel. I am racking my brain for an explanation that's not coming. Okay, well, anyway, so yeah, this gets denied, unfortunately. This is like the anti-timing, right? Like, had this been a little bit faster, there was a time window to take this, but now the apocalypse happened, and now this is not going to get flipped, which is unfortunate. So yeah, anti-air shows up, so Rip had another anti-air. But that's okay. We just need to try and continue to remove the anti-air. And if we end up with more copters at the end of the day, then that's going to be quite good. But yeah, we're going to start losing a lot of these properties. That's just inevitable at this point. That's the consequences of taking a really catastrophic fight. Okay. So now what needs to happen is we need to get these 3 cities. We're going to cap those this turn. And all this stuff needs to immediately shift up to stabilize this other side. Immediately. It's got to go up there. Okay, I kind of like this. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, I like this. Free tank. Nice positioning, probably. Imagine if there was a bomber about ready to show up like here to pick off this anti-air too. Pretty sick. I have no. Oh, it was the T-copter was moved up here to get healed by the black boat, to get refueled by the black boat. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. All right, I was a little slow to pick up on that. All right, that's kind of cute. So it kind of forces a copter to stay over here distracted. I don't know. Seems kind of desperate to me, but whatever. All right, so looks like we are trying to pivot. I don't think this is fast enough. I think this needs to be like, you don't need to heal a 7 HP anti-air, by the way. I don't feel like that's a good use of money. You just send it up here to cover these copters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this anti-air moves as far as it can, it's covering both of these well, this one's in the forest, right? But it's covering both of these copters. And then if any copters show up to fight your copters, then you've got another anti-air in position to trade well. I actually think that this artillery would even be better here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So if it goes here, it seems like it's really exposed because like the tank can come over and hit it. But that's kind of what you want, because you want. All right. Let me tell you the real big brain play. Right? Big brain play is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put this artillery here, and then you put this artillery here, and then if the tank comes over to hit this artillery, then it's in the range of the artillery here. That's the big brain play. It feels risky because it's like, what if you get popped here? But we have such good vision, like we're fine. Ooh, I don't know what the roll on that was. That was probably unlucky. I'm not going to do the math, but it needed to get down to 6 in order to delay the cap another turn. I don't know if I agree with it, but I won't know unless I actually see what the numbers were. Okay, so Lander brings the Neotank over. This is why that first block rock's so important. Look, like Rip is halfway to another block rock already. Unlucky, yeah. If it had been my play, then the artillery wouldn't even be spotted here. And that's why you should read my mind. Yep. Imagine 7 HP anti-air. Would have been perfect to remove that copter. Okay, so we're now on borrowed time here. So we're gonna get these two. That's important because we're gonna be losing. We lost all these. I mean, realistically we have no chance of defending this. So maybe we can like wall this city off with some crap infantry. Like we've got a lot of crap infantry. Like it's 1 HP infantry can go here, 4 HP infantry can go here. You know, try and deal with that if you can. Maybe put an artillery here or something like that. You can spare 1 potentially. But then the play is we need to get out of here as quickly as possible because we're really overextended down here. So we take our properties and then we retreat everything, or even better, we don't retreat, we send it up to the other side so that we can then push this way again very efficiently. Okay, the recon, having the 2 HP recon is really nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're probably not going to be able to get this city. It stinks because we're giving up this and we're not getting this, and so like this potentially could lead the income to equalize, which feels really bad after the amount of income lead we've had the whole game. Like, what are we at right now? Yeah, I mean, it's your like almost 30k income up over the entire game, doing adjustments for like the turn advantage and things like that. So it's like, even though in terms of damage dealt, like taking 40k more, we're about 30k up in income over the whole game. So it's not hopeless. Even if the game equalizes, it kind of just equalizes for the most part. Okay. This is insane. Like, I get it, but it's also crazy. I mean, there's so many bad things that can happen. Maybe Alaska feels like you got to do this because you're losing, but you're not actually losing. You're not actually losing. It's the risk is things stabilize, but if you go here and then you clear out the infantry, then who knows? Anything can happen, right? Like we're not that far away from day limit. Like, who knows? At the very least, if you're going to do this, you have to use this 1 HP recon. Like, there could be artillery like anywhere here. You got no vision. Look at the charge. Any sort of engagement next turn is probably going to get Rip another block rock. Only 23k away, and you're exposing Like, this should have happened first. This should have happened first. If you're going to do that... Anyway. And this tank was overextended. It could have been removed with much less commitment. You could just have easily sent copter here, tank here, and then prepare to get block rocked. Like, there are better ways to clear this tank off. If you commit the copter and the tank, and then you kind of set up for a counterattack, like, you have pretty good vision of everything here. So I don't know. This infantry, I mean, seeing this should not be going for this property, I think. I think this needs to be a retreat. This is not good. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All this stuff should have been gone. It should have been gone. It should have been gone. It's gonna die, and it should have been gone. It should have left the building a long time ago. Laska was not ready. These copters didn't need to be here either. Ugh, it hurts because it's positioning. Positioning is the downfall. Okay. That was pretty fatal. If you can actually get the bomber... Can he actually get to the bomber? Maybe. You can kill this anti-air with the... I guess you can go through this way, right? Ooh. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, okay, all right. And it can go here. It can go here. I was like, it's like, you gotta kill the bomber. You gotta kill the bomber. Okay. I wonder what is the unit value right now anyway. That's so crazy. Because it feels like LaskaLarnar has been getting absolutely smashed in all these fights. Army values, basically, it's not quite even. Like, obviously, Rip's going to do a lot of damage this turn. But it's basically even. I mean, even the Neo tank trade wasn't that horrible. I mean, the Neo got a tank, sure. And then he got hit by a bomber, but the bomber's down to 1. The Neo's down to 1. It's kind of a wash, honestly. It's not that bad. The problem is that Rips controlled this territory for so long that all these cities are about to flip. And then Rip is going to be able to start pushing down here. Obviously, there's no infantry down here to start getting these cities, but like, and this guy is going to start taking here. So it's going to start to get bad. But imagine if some of these little details were just done a little bit better. A little bit better. It was there. It was there for the taking. But now I think it's really hard. See, Rip knows when to retreat. This is a retreat, okay? This is the retreat I've been waiting for from LaskaLarnar like the whole game, okay? That's what Rip is like. I can extend no further on this side. I got the properties I wanted to get. I'm outie. I'm gone. Not just like a little bit. Not just like I'm going to make a wall in your territory. Like, no, everything is out of there completely. That is how you retreat. All right, so there's going to be some cleanup here. But, again, already starting to lose properties down here. This is the tempo revealing itself yet again. Now, the pendulum swings the other way. Now LaskaLarnar is going to be very strong on this side. And it's all about how fast can LaskaLarnar recapture these territories, or these cities. Can they be recaptured faster than Rip can take these cities? But it just seems like, I mean, LaskaLarnar has, he has infantry, but they're not very healthy. It can delay that city a turn, I guess, but it feels very difficult. And so you can see like LaskaLarnar is really pressing to try and get some damage done, but Rip knows how to retreat properly, and there's just nothing here. It's all gone. Rip didn't lose any of it because he retreated it properly, and now it's, you can't chase it. You're not fast enough to chase it into the fog. And now, so you see Rip is getting to these cities, but is Laska to these cities? Nope, not yet. And won't even be there next turn. And still hasn't even recaptured this city. So you can see that the tempo is swinging so strongly in Rip's favor. It's not even the army fighting that really is killing Laska now. It's the tempo. The tempo is what's really ending this game. Sure, Laska can delay things, slow things down a little bit, and that's what you got to do. Ooh, that join, I don't like that. That infantry is too important. That infantry needs to be setting up for captures of other cities. That's too much. I know you're likely to not get the city back anyway, but I don't think you can spare that. And then the Neotank comes in, so yeah, I don't love repairing the Neotank from 1 HP anyway. Like that's another thing. 1 HP bomber, such value. Yeah. See, I mean, and you join cap this infantry, and you're still not going to get it. Honestly, like this position, it's not horrible for Laska. Can you get block rock here? I don't think so. Maybe. Maybe? And we'll see. That's kind of cute. Oh, he goes for the beatdown. Um. Okay. Sure. But the problem is now you just get block rocked and you die. I think he probably could have made it to block rock. Yeah. Oh. Brutal. Yeah. Well, this is now Dunsies for sure. Even taking the lab in the center. Yeah. What a game, though. Like, what a sick game. What a sick game. I mean, I think I left all my cards on the table there. You probably have a very good idea of my thoughts on everything now after that. Laska played a brilliant early game and mid game. And then there's just the smallest of openings that he gave Rip at a really bad time to award an opening. And Rip made it happen. I mean, Rip was 1,000,000% dead to rights on day 17. 1,000,000%. Like, it's if I'm in that position as LaskaLarnar, in my mind, this is like we are cruising to victory. It's a one game. It's not even like in doubt. It's like as long as I just kind of play this out in a sane way, like it's gonna be mine. But you opened the door and Rip charged through it and took it and won Smacky Cup too. So congratulations. That was a really entertaining game. It kind of hurts a little bit because like I feel for Alaska like playing so well and then just like that one, a couple little things and it's like it all just kind of falls apart out of nowhere like that really hurts. But take nothing away from the skill that it took to get into that position to even be able to be in such a dominant position. It was a really well thought out game plan. And I think the risk taking was, I mean, obviously it's risky, right? Like, but it was designed well, and the risk paid off proportionally to the amount of risk. Like it was really risky, but when it worked, it really, really paid off. It basically cut Rip off from all the contested properties on one side of the map, and really set up the mid game well. So we're at the 2-hour mark. I think I'm going to spare us from the full vision recap this time. We saw enough of the opening that I'm sure you can kind of understand what was happening, and the vision for Laska was pretty good this game. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I will spend the last couple minutes of this video talking about just channel stuff and real life stuff, at least briefly, because I know it's been a little bit since since my last video. So if this concludes the Advance Wars content, if you're not here for the Alagatua rambling, then feel free to peace out and check out another video or something like that. But yeah, I was sick over Christmas. Feeling better now. So thank you for the kind messages. I appreciate that. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Better than I did, at least, right? I've been a little bit tied up with some Ocarina of Time stuff. If for those of you in the know, I do some game development for Ocarina of Time Randomizer. I have now 2 game modes that I've designed and built myself that are reasonably popular within the community, and I just released the second game mode a couple of weeks ago. So it's very different from the first one that I released. It's very chaotic and kind of crazy and zany fun. So if that's your jam and you hadn't heard of it, go check out the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Discord. You find all the information you need about that community there. But I've been sinking a lot of time into that kind of development, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been churning out as many videos as late. But I still have all that money left over from the Grandmasters tournament, and I've been thinking about what I want to do with that. I don't have anything really to announce yet. My hope is that I'll do some kind of like map making contest with part of it, and try to like sponsor some fog maps. Like I have a few themes in mind, but no official announcement yet. I need to find some partners to work with for that, because map making is not really a good skill of mine. I'm the black hat hacker. I'm not a white hat. I'm not a designer. I'm not here to keep your maps safe. I'm here to destroy them. So it's not quite, my wheelhouse is not really doing like map contests. So I might need some help. So we'll see how that goes. But I haven't forgotten about that. I've got like a spreadsheet of like how much money is left over to spend on community stuff. So I'm keeping track of that. So just rest assured, I haven't forgotten. I'm hoping I'll find some time in the spring to do something with that. And I already did do like a little bit of donation just to the site, just to send some money that way. So we have at least done something. Okay. I don't think I've got anything else to say. If you're still here, thank you for watching. If somehow you're here and you haven't subscribed yet, like, I mean, come on, like, I've been here for 2 hours. You gotta hit that button for me. All right. We'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Cheers.